Round 4. Ready, go!
Over Hellblade's length is really frustrating. When did length become more important than quality? One of my favourite underrated games is Spec Ops: The Line, which is only 5 to 6 hours long. There are also many games that push the envelope in terms of fidelity but get bashed until years later, like Rise, Son of Rome, and The Order 1866. Give it 10 years and people will be praising Hellblade for what it attempted to do. Yes, the gameplay is okay, but everything else is pushing the envelope. Also, shame on Xbox for the marketing. Right, okay. John, how do you want to unpeel this particular onion? Because this sort of concept of how long a game should last, it's only really sort of come to the fore, I think, probably since the sort of Xbox One, PS4 generation. If we go back, you know, a lot of games, particularly, you know, the older style console games, typically only had about 5 to 6 hours of what you might call raw content in. So and we do seem to have sort of maybe missing the mark there.
I don't know. I actually do distinctly remember people already complaining about this back in the early 2000s, because it was right around the time when RPGs started to become popular, especially with mainstream, you know, after the success of something like Final Fantasy VII. I do remember conversations starting to appear of people being like, oh, it's only X amount of hours long. And then you had bangers like Metal Gear Solid 3 and Resident Evil 4 coming out that were like 20 hours long, which was unheard of for that type of game. And I think expectations slowly started to shift into that direction. But yeah, like you said, though, it's probably around 2013 when it really became super common and super annoying. And it's in these kind of, some of these read like, oh, this is only just happening, but it's a constant thing that I see all the time with any game that's not super long. And it's just, it's unfortunate, but that's tricky. So for some of us, I think this is a matter of you kind of gotta know, and you gotta pick for yourself based on what your needs are. Like, I think for us, shorter games are great, but then there's people that have infinite time, especially the younger crowd, that, you know, for them, this would not be worth the money if they were buying it outright, right? There are people that are just going to spend insane amounts of time playing something, and that's all they need for a long time. And yeah, maybe this isn't for them. I don't think there's any like large consensus one way or the other. I think it's just something that varies per person, and each time the people that want the longer stuff, they might complain, and the people that don't, it feels like we've been down this path so many times now. I'm almost like feeling tired of it. It's like
well, you know, honestly though, absolutely, there's a lot of people out there who just don't have a huge amount of time to play games, right? And you know, the concept of what you might call a shorter game is actually highly welcome. I think it's actually one of the reasons why Switch is so popular across a whole spectrum of gamers, regardless of age. It's simply because, you know, it's so immediate, and so, you know, the concept of the Switch is that you know, you can just pick up, play, and put it down again. And, you know, it doesn't demand huge amounts, you know, just the whole format of the system just doesn't make demands on your lifestyle. It kind of fits in where needed. And, maybe it's so, you know, I think it's okay to have what you might call smaller games in terms of their length. But it doesn't necessarily, you know, how long it takes to complete a game doesn't define how much longevity a game has. I would argue
that's super important, Rich.
Yeah, I think having said that, from what I've played of Hellblade 2, I'm not in any particular rush to go back and replay.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's something I'll do like, a year or 2 years from now, but certainly not in the immediate future. But on the flip side, I would say the vast majority of people that are going to be playing it will be on Game Pass, right?
Right.
So it becomes less of a relevant
it's basically perfect for that. I think it's great for that kind of service. Because it means more people can experience it without needing to worry about the length. They'll just give it a shot, right?
Yeah, I think Hi-Fi Rush went through the same thing, it being a 10-hour game or so. Again, perfect for Game Pass. And I can only echo what you've said, is that there's a difference between me at my teenage years and me in my adult life. Teenage years all over JRPGs, because you buy the game for, was it £40 back then, and you thought, well, I'm going to get 30, 40, maybe more hours out of Final Fantasy VII. And then today I'm like, gosh, getting back home from work, I just want to get something complete, and so the priorities have changed. But I do respect people who want to have more, and even if they, if that means having optional extras to go and do and explore in a game, that's great, but it's that stuff isn't for me.
I mean, Rich, what you alluded to earlier is interesting, because I think back to a lot of retro stuff that's like an hour long or less, whether it's shooters, whether it's just like classic platform games. Those are some of my favorite games to play, and I've been playing them for years and years and years and years. The length doesn't matter there at all, because it's so replayable, and just playing it is fun. But in cases like Hellblade, because it is sort of a cinematic experience, I look at it more like buying a copy of a film and putting it on your shelf, and you might watch it every 2 or 3 years, maybe, if you really enjoyed it. I think that's perfectly fine. There's value there.
Really a dark film that maybe made you a bit uncomfortable to watch, but you'll think, I'll watch that sometime in the future.
It's
Let's round off with this question from Eric Benoit. Hello, DF crew, John and Richard. Would playing Hellblade 2 on the Sony FW900 be as insanely awesome as I could imagine? For those who don't know, the FW900 is basically the greatest CRT monitor ever made, judged by a lot of people. John?
I think this is a game that it would look good on there, of course, but it's not because, well, maybe I'm
You'll enjoy this, trust me. Ready?
Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout!
And PC more so, but because of all the heavy post processing and motion blur, you're gonna like not really be seeing the super advantages of the CRT, especially with like motion clarity, right? Like the whole thing is that these things can do basically flawless motion, and a 60 FPS game or higher on a CRT like that is mind-blowingly beautiful and smooth. But for this, with a slower pace, lower frame rate, at least on console, all the blurry effects, I actually think it would still, it's still better on something like a big OLED or any TV with really good HDR.
Yeah, HDR. Yeah. I mean, you know, when you think about the advantages of CRT, it's not really the game that's going to bring out those advantages, you know, like ultra fast input response. It's just not that game.
Right.
And of course, no HDR. That's a big miss, I'd say. I guess that's all we've really got to say about Hellblade 2 for now. I'm going to be interested to see how the discourse sort of continues over time with this one, because you know it does have much in common with other titles that were mentioned earlier by DF Enjoyer there, like Rise, Son of Rome, and The Order 1866. And I would actually say that the perception of those games has actually improved, you know, almost exponentially over time. You know, people were kind of genuinely looking back at those with some degree of nostalgia, simply because they were standout games, but not as games.
So both of those, especially Rise, I'd say have a lot more like core gameplay moments in it, right? Like Rise is largely a game where you are mostly controlling your character. It's just a bit repetitive, but the experience is still good. I liked it back in the day. That was one of the earliest like big titles that I ever covered on DF, actually. So I have a lot of fondness for that game.
Absolutely. Okay, with that, let's move on to our next news topic. It's not often that Digital Foundry is a part of the news. Well, maybe that's not strictly true. But this week we were caught up in the deal that Gamer Network, well, rather Reed Exhibitions, who owned Gamer Network, has now sold out to IGN, which means that essentially, well, Digital Foundry is a joint venture between Gamer Network and, well, me. And what this means is that IGN essentially has bought Gamer Network and therefore has bought the shares that that Gamer Network has in Digital Foundry. And yeah, I mean, the issue here is that the acquisition was announced in tandem with the announcement that there'd be a number of layoffs within Gamer Network, even before the integration into IGN has begun. A lot of questions, obviously, people are having about the extent to which Digital Foundry may be affected or may be changed. And it's a tricky one because going into this, I was actually quite looking forward to this announcement going out. And that might sound quite bizarre to many, bearing in mind the discourse this week, but let me explain. Gamer Network was acquired by an events company, Reed Exhibitions, ReedPop. And over the, first couple of years seemed okay, but it kind of quickly became evident that ReedPop wasn't really fully invested in the gaming websites. There was little interest in actually growing them. And to all intents and purposes, Gamer Network was left to its own devices with a strictly limited series of resources, which limited what the firm could do to adapt in a fiercely competitive and dynamic market. And so I was quite looking forward to this acquisition being announced because, well, IGN is owned by Ziff Davis. They're fully committed to the gaming market. And the amount of resources and talent they have behind the scenes is actually hugely empowering for a very small outfit like Digital Foundry, right? And over the years, IGN has been, very complimentary about our work. And, in pre-sale discussions, it was clear that they had a lot of enthusiasm for what we were doing. It's very difficult to communicate that when we're actually seeing a lot of our colleagues at Gamer Network laid off. And it really sort of was a massive downer because, a lot of good people are losing their jobs. It's never great. Mm-hmm. And what it means is that we're going into this acquisition with a kind of... into this transition rather, with a lot of fear and uncertainty about what's going to happen to the brands. And this is kind of reflected in some of the questions we had. So let's go through them in turn. This one from Generative Alcoholism. John said on Twitter that DF would be quote unquote better as a result of the IGN acquisition. Can you elaborate on why this is the case? Yeah, I had a word with you about that, John, because, it was kind of like, it is actually true.
Yes.
But when you're facing this massive amount of discourse about people losing their jobs and consolidation in the industry, stuff like that, it certainly is sort of seems a bit discordant. But the fact is, as I just said, we were the Digital Foundry shares owned by Gamer Network were essentially controlled by an events company that weren't best equipped to deal with the games business. Ooh. So, basically what's happening now is that outfit has been replaced by one who is fully committed to the games business. And that does have, potentially exciting implications for Digital Foundry, right? I don't think there's too much more to add to that. Is that what you meant, John?
That's exactly what I meant, which is we were basically being limited by the prior company, right? They didn't really have an interest in us. They didn't really invest a lot of time, effort, money into us. We just kind of did what we could and got by. But I feel like this at least gives us a shot at getting actual support from a company that's like in this space rather than just like being in a side thing. Because I mean, it's obviously Repop kept the EGX stuff, right? They kept the event stuff, which to me it always seemed like that's what they wanted in the first place. They took all the other sites along with them, but they only wanted the events. And then when the pandemic happened, we saw the truth, the reality of the situation. Although I would argue that having digital business probably helped a lot during that time period when they couldn't have events. So I don't know. It's just I didn't feel that positive about the prior
round two
company, shall we say.
Ready?
And at least this stands a chance of improving things and allowing us to do more of what we want to do.
It's fundamentally the case. This question from Gian. Hey DF team, exclamation point. Will the acquisition of Gamer Network by IGN have any impact on DF? Which is a really good question, right? Because obviously there's this kind of wave of negativity that accompanied the announcement of the acquisition. And that's going to be the first thing that people are going to be asking if they're particularly invested in what they're doing. Have any impact? I'm hoping it will only be positive impact, simply because we will have a partner that actually understands games for once and really is invested in what we do. But I think it's fair to say that the buyout has happened we've only had like very limited discussions with the management there about what their plans are, but we certainly don't have any sort of wish to change what we are, who we are, and how we do it, because I think that would be counterproductive to all people concerned. You know,
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
if you're going to spend this massive amount to acquire Gamer Network and by extension a chunk of Digital Foundry, you, in theory, want that to grow and prosper.
Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, the opposite.
And that is just a chunk, like you said. They don't have full ownership of DF. So
That's right. Yeah.
it's a partnership more than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Which again sort of makes the case for independence a lot sort of stronger. This question by Leftist Hominid. Does the acquisition mean that Wheel's DF adaptations will appear on IGN? Also, does this increase the probability that DF folks will be invited onto IGN podcasts more often? For example, John has been on Nintendo Voice Chat before. What's Nintendo Voice Chat? A podcast, I assume.
Yeah, it's one of the IGN. It's a Nintendo-related podcast, as the name would imply. So I was on there talking about Xenoblade, I believe Xenoblade Chronicles 3, if I recall.
Well, we've done collaborations in the past, and you know, there's no reason why we can't do more of them. The issue is always time and bandwidth, of which we have vanishingly small amounts. So, you know, in terms of where DF content appears, that, you know, nothing has been formally agreed yet, so I can't really say anything on that front. Just have to wait and see. This one from Alan, the legendary Alan on the Discord. Hi DF team, I'd like to address the elephant named IGN in the Foundry. I know Richard doesn't like to talk about corpos, and it isn't a fair to ask. Corpos. Exclamation point. However, in the last few days, while grazing the gaming community pastures, I've seen a lot of worried people in comments. One even claimed, quote unquote, "This is the death of DF!" Exclamation point. Are you able to put us Foundrians' minds at ease? Well, sure, because, you know, ultimately, if
Round one.
you know,
Ready?
if things aren't going
Go!
the way we want it to go, we can always leave. Yeah, exactly. That's the bottom line. But it's not in the interests of anybody for that to happen, right? And ultimately, we just want a really strong partner that can enable us to do more and do better. And you know, given the choice between ReadPop and IGN, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Yeah. So there are a lot of actual positives to this. It's just really disappointing that, in tandem with the announcement being made, was the announcement that a lot of people in Gamertag are going to be losing their jobs. And to be clear, nobody at Digital Foundry was affected by that. So, you know, it's just really sad that people are losing their jobs.
This is my feeling mainly. It's only been a couple of days since the announcement internally. Went into the day thinking it's going to be all smiles, all roses, but the layoffs have been quite a shock, especially internally. I work at the office here, and it's been quite a tough few days. And I won't name names and talk about the people affected specifically, but they will have made themselves known on Twitter, and I really just wish them all the best for the future.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, he uses the word corpo, which is funny, but like relics and all that whole thing that we were a part of, they're a lot bigger than Ziv Davis in terms of overall number of employees.
Round four.
It's a bigger company.
Ready? Go!
Like Relics itself is listed as having 36,000 plus employees. That's not small.
Not many of them have to do with gaming.
No, not at all. So we're coming from a really big corporate entity to a still corporate but smaller entity.
Yeah, and the extent of the influence that they can have is necessarily limited because they don't have full ownership of it. So I'd just like to put it out there that, you know, as far as we're concerned, it's business as usual. We're going to continue doing what we're going to be doing. Our staff lineup remains the same. And, you know, the whole atmosphere right now is really, you know, quite sad and despondent.
Yeah, that's...
But there are, you know, certainly where we're heading, I'm hoping it's a positive direction with that level of partnership involved. that's all we've got to say about that, really. Because, you know, we haven't even officially met the IGN leadership yet.
It's true.
Which happens next week, and we should have more of an idea on what they want to bring to the party at that point, which, you know, potentially should be pretty good. I mean, it's no secret that people have been fully aware of the limitations of read pop in the gaming business, and that's the reason why Gamer Network lost so many staff over the last few years, most of them to IGN, oddly enough, and Vox Media, of course. And so, you know, it's kind of weird that a lot of our old colleagues are now colleagues again.
We're rejoining them,
which is actually quite fantastic. But yes, business as usual for now, and going forward, you know, there should only be good things, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, next news topic. Well, this one's quite interesting because Tom was without project this week, so he decided to circle back and take a look at some of the games that have appeared that may or not have received full Digital Foundry coverage, but might have been quite interesting to take a look at, because sometimes you see a story there. Now, Tom, Topspin 2K25, you took a look at that.
Yes.
And what's the story there? I mean, you know, basically it's quite weird, isn't it? Because going back a few generations, tennis games were actually huge on consoles.
Yeah,
they're now all
Virtua
but
tennis.
extinct. Yeah.
Oh, R.I.P. Yeah, God, I miss that wave, and somehow we've lost that in recent generations, especially last generation. A major tennis game, a real tentpole release that rallies, if you like, all the fans of the sport and gets them playing something that's genuinely high quality. Topspin 4 back in 2011 was that game on PS3 and 360. People still love it. It's a fan favorite of the series. If you liked sim-based, more simulation-style tennis games, where Virtua Tennis would be the more arcade side of things. So cut forward 13 years, and we've got a follow-up finally from, I guess, partially the original developers, 2K Czech, who worked on Topspin 4. They've since merged into Hangar 13, and Hangar 13, of course, known for the Mafia 3 and the Mafia remake from 2020. So what I understand is in their interviews with WCCFT Tech, they are working from a proprietary engine, Hangar 13's proprietary engine. And so that points to a whole range of tech which likely overlaps with Mafia's. Not 100% confirmed, but there's a lot of hints in
Round
the
one.
way the game looks,
Ready?
especially the global illumination of these that's used on across the characters and across the courts to spill light back up on the characters as you walk around, as you sort of run around, and especially in shaded areas. So there is some good stuff in here, but it is their first real run at this genre in 13 years, and so it's not, I guess it's the first stab, and just like a pitch to tennis fans everywhere to say, do you want more of this?
Ready, go!
And here they are, first attempt. There's things that I don't like. Character models, they look not great. They don't look very true to life.
I'm looking at the footage. I do recognise Roger Federer.
You do recognise Roger Federer, and Roger Federer is at least motion captured officially. They've got all his movements implanted into the game, and so he'll look the most authentic of all the bunch. There's a good sized roster in there, but the thing is that they had to, well, first of all, Andy Murray doesn't look anything like he does in real life. His hair is so so full and luscious, and he looks just a whole different facial design.
Excellent.
But it is it's a solid first effort. It is a last gen game, I think, that has been scaled up to new consoles, and so the exciting bits about playing on PS5, Series X and S are limited, I think, but it doesn't mean every console runs at 60 frames per second. And they all cap at 30 FPS in cutscenes. And one thing I did find that was quite interesting is that the resolution differences between the current gen systems are not what you'd expect. It's 1440p native on PS5, 1620p native on Series X,
Round 5.
Series
Ready,
S
go!
1080p, and I dipped into the older base lifetime consoles, the base Xbox One, the One S actually, and that came out at 900p, and we can deduce that base PS4 probably runs at 1080p. So yeah, weird difference between PS5 and Series X, 1440p versus 1620p, but every other setting is a match. Series S drops the settings in global illuminations and shadow coverage, but otherwise it's great. Works, runs great. And if you're going last gen, you're really taking a few cuts and hits to visual quality there. And the GI is nerfed again, along with some geometric bits on the court side. But yeah, so that's my sort of tech analysis in a bite-sized summary.
I guess the big question is, Tom, on the Xbox version, did the XSN banner return?
XSN?
Yeah, XSN, Xbox Sports Network. That was part of the original Top Spin. It was during the early Xbox Live days, and when they were trying to promote like online play for sports games, they had the XSN. Right?
Of course. It was a big deal for Xbox, the original Xbox.
Heck yeah, it was.
One of the first.
Top Spin was part of the XSN, baby.
Man, that brings back memories. Thank you for that, John. That's amazing.
I'm looking at your footage. I do think those 30 FPS cutscenes are unforgivable.
That was
simply unforgivable.
They did the same thing in all the Virtua tennis games as well.
Yeah,
it's just like a thing that they always do in tennis games for some reason.
Yeah. 30 FPS is. I'm sure they could have done a lot better with the cutscenes. There's nothing to justify it either. It's not like the resolution jumps up or anything. It stays at 1622p on the Series X no matter what. So there might be a dynamic component to it, but it stays where it stays mostly.
I think you've just justified the Xbox power narrative.
Oh no. What have I done?
1620 versus 1440p.
Yeah, man.
Well done, Tom. Well done.
There's yeah. I've unleashed all hell on the comments.
What about the game? Do you think it's good?
Well, I'm a huge tennis fan, and I loved Topspin 4. I love Virtua Tennis, as I think a lot of us did growing up with the Dreamcast and the later games as well. Got a particular fondness for Virtua Tennis 1 and 2, but Topspin 3 and 4 were the games I played with my brother quite a bit, and it's for the more... someone after a more simulation experience, meaning you don't just press X or square to hit the ball and that's that. You hold it and release it to an exact timing, and you'll see in like the footage that there's a very slim window where you can get a perfect shot with like the green bar at the end. And how quickly your gauge goes across and how difficult it is to time getting the perfect shot is based on your positioning. And the great thing about this game is they've got John McEnroe going through a lengthy tutorial, which they really recommend you take part in right from the game start, just to understand the basics of tennis and how to reposition yourself after hitting a shot, going back to the center of the court, and avoiding being sort of at an awkward angle for when a ball hits the floor and bounces back up again, kind of halfway, torso height. So all this stuff plays into how quickly that gauge goes across. Fatigue also plays a part, and a bunch of other factors. But yeah, so it's very well done in that respect. It takes a bit of getting used to. It's a little bit more stiff because the players actually have to accelerate from the spot, and they're a bit sluggish to start. And that means you have to start running in a direction you suspect your opponent will be firing
Heavyweights
at.
are nothing to me.
But yeah, so it is, there's value to playing Virtua Tennis even today if you want something a bit more immediate. But if you want something a bit more in depth, this is the game for you. Early days again, though, it's still missing a lot of stuff. Djokovic and Nadal are absent, but might come in a future update. So
Tom, if you're somebody like me that really only likes Virtua Tennis, is it worth giving this a shot? Or is it just like kind of, did they go too deep on the sim aspect?
I think it's more sim than, it's quite,
okay.
Yeah, if you're a tennis fan, this is great. But I still think it might struggle to appeal to a wider base. of players. That's my honest opinion, and I say that like through gritted teeth because I want more people to buy it, and so there'll be a new one. But that's just kind of they do their best to onboard you though with the tutorials.
John, Super Tennis. Need I say more?
Oh yeah, Super Tennis.
The game.
That's good. That was good. But what about Power Serve 3D Tennis for the PlayStation with the spinning ball cam? That was great. Where like oh my god, that we covered it in the PS1 launch episode, but like that literally has camera angles where like the camera locks to the tennis ball and it continuously rotates in 360 degrees around the ball. That is one of the camera angles.
Oh,
What,
Christ.
sort of like bullet time?
Yeah, but like not slow. So imagine trying to play a tennis game with the spinning ball cam.
That sounds
I
remarkable.
don't think it is playable.
I don't think it is.
No.
Yeah. No, that's...
Okay.
we
Well,
need to see more tennis games. That's all I'll say. We need to see more. There aren't enough.
I'm going to be curious to see if this does actually do well and therefore warrants a follow-up, because it seems to me that in a sort of unexpected move, a punt has been taken here, a gamble to see whether there is actually a market for these type of games still. So I'm going to be curious to see if it will check out. Big announcements from Microsoft this week with the arrival of ARM-based Windows laptops. Now, obviously, back in the past when the Surface first launched, we had Surface RT based on an ARM version of Windows 8, I believe. And let's just say it wasn't particularly good, but things have moved on. The Qualcomm X Elite is a new processor, SoC, that's... well, they're talking about massive performance gains over Apple's new M4 chip. And, you know, they're also talking about gargantuan battery life. Basically, it's almost as if, well, Satya Nadella has basically said that they're looking to compete on a more even terms with what Apple is.
Round one.
With Apple Silicon.
Ready, go!
From our perspective, well, let's just put it this way. It's very AI driven, and I've got to say, you know, those features look interesting, but it's not massively compelling from my point of view. What I am curious about is the gaming performance. Because, what they're doing here is allowing you to run x86 apps on these new laptops by using an emulation layer, which is called Prism. And they're saying it's just as good, if not better, by some degree than the Rosetta emulation that's used by Apple Silicon to run x86 apps. But yeah, I'm just really interested to see what the gaming performance is going to be like. And we've seen like Baldur's Gate 3, and I think Borderlands 3 is also shown running like reasonable frame rates. But obviously, we have no idea what the settings are. I think Civilization, I think Tomorrow mentioned to me that Civilization was also a demo there. John, any thoughts about this?
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see them make the switch. It makes sense in terms of efficiency, battery life. I think it's been tough to compete with what Apple's doing in the laptop space lately. The Silicon is just very efficient, quite performant for what it is. Intel and AMD and everything are great in the desktop space where you have large power budgets and you're trying to push a lot of this. But on the mobile side, obviously that comes with battery life reductions and other things in effect. And now by digging back in, so Microsoft's tried ARM-based Windows before, right? But it didn't exactly work out.
They were using like a Tegra 3. So it wasn't exactly performance.
No, and there wasn't anything like an emulation layer that was any good in effect, nothing like that. So this is really an attempt to bridge that gap and make like normal PC apps still usable, including games, on this much more efficient mobile sort of chipset, which could mean very long battery life for laptops, which is great for Windows laptops. So I mean, they quoted like in the 30 FPS range for Baldur's Gate 3, which for an emulation layer on a mobile chipset, that's pretty darn impressive. And I'd imagine a fair number of games should be quite playable, many at much higher frame rates, in fact. Which is excellent. So that could be useful for the stuff going forward. But you're right. Microsoft focused a lot on the AI side of things, which, whew.
Express, that's nice. Printing, win-win. Locking us in. Locked in. Express, that's nice. Printing, win-win. Locking us in. Locked in.
It's a bit too hard to hear you over the question. Oh, okay. I was just saying, how's it going, dude? Good. Very good. Just got dinner. About to do some laundry. Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. But I'm surprised there's actually people on. Yeah, yeah, in games. Might pick up Kage. You can give it a try, D-Man. See how it goes with him. See how it goes with the ninja. man. Oh, okay. Right, leave, I'll tell you. Oh, okay, no worries, dude.
Round one. Ready, go!
It's there, man.
Knockout. Round two. Ready, go! Excellent. Round three. Ready, go! Excellent.
強くなってね。
Round one. Ready, go! Knockout! Round two. Ready, go! Knockout! Round three. Ready, go! Yeah! Oh! Knockout! Round four. Ready, go! Yeah! Knockout! Round five. Ready, go! Excellent!
And that's how it goes down, D-Man.
あるのよ。
Thank you, sir.
Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout. Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout. Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout. Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout.
There's a lot of controversy there. I think the thing that people are kind of riled up about is the
Recall.
recall feature.
Recall.
Yeah, where basically
famous celebrity jungle after eating a live beetle, 2 nipples, and an anus. So frankly, this should be a walk in the park. Please welcome Scarlett Moffat! Welcome. Have a seat.
Round 1. Ready, go!
いくよさ
Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout!
次に会うまでにもっと強くなってね。
Round 2. Ready, go!
いくよさあ
Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 5. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 1. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 2. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout!
God damn it.
Round one. Ready, go! Knockout! Round two. Ready, go! Knockout! Round three. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 3. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 4. Ready, go! Knockout! Round 5. Ready, go! Round one. Ready, go! Knockout! Round two. Ready, go! Knockout! Round three. Ready, go!
Wow.
Knockout! Round four. Ready, go! Knockout! Round five. Ready, go! Knockout!
力だけでは明かしまへん。
finish up soon in a minute, Demon. Thanks for the offer, dude. So that's the only one that's on. I'll be back on. Yeah, I'm going to switch up games. So. I'll be back on in a bit, but I did get a promotion to veteran, so that's pretty good for the I League.